Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott Mackenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
Well, hello there, industrial professionals. Thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and thank you for your continued support of this platform that celebrates you, industrial professionals all around the world. You're bold, brave, and you dare greatly. We thank you each and every day, and we celebrate you on Industrial Talk. Now, if you know one thing about me, I'm passionate about marketing. I'm passionate about getting that message out. I'm passionate about efficiency. And in the hot seat, we have a gentleman by the name of Jeremy Toeman. He is the founder and head honcho for Augie, which is an AI platform to help you. It's on his stat card here. Videos are hard. Augie is easy. It helps you make videos and gets them down into clip form. Now, I do that all the time. I do that too. But here's Augie. It does it for you. All right, let's get on with the conversation. Yeah, I'm all about marketing. You got to do a better job marketing. You got to just put yourself out there, whether you like it or not. I'm going to continue to harp on you. Do it. Your story needs to be told. You need to succeed. You need to engage people. And it's all coming through marketing and telling that story. And Industrial Talk is here for you. I say it all the time. Hey, just go out to industrialtalk.com. and say, Scott, I want to be able to amplify my message. I want more opportunities. I want greater visibility into the solutions and problems that I am addressing. That's what that's all about. It's all out there. Just come and talk to me. I'm an open book. I'm a warm and fuzzy guy. So, I look forward to talking to you. So make it happen, Captain. All right. I go through the process of when I make my videos, I create little snippets. You should repurpose. It's best practice out there. I have these great conversations, and I need to be able to sort of not say, yeah, here's a 30-minute one, which you should listen to. Go out to Industrial Talk. But the reality is you need to be able to sort of effectively and efficiently take that content, snip it down into something that's meaningful, powerful, impactful, attention-getting. And solutions are coming forward, and they're and here's Augie. Here's a solution that does take that AI, that ability to be able to take a video and then work its magic, and it's not difficult. I've used it. It's not difficult. And to be able to do it and cut it down, yeah, it's a pretty cool tool. And so you're going to have the links out there on Industrial Talk. You're going to be able to reach out with Jeremy because he definitely has a solution that is for today, not yesterday, for today and into the future. Right? It's really good. Helps me out. All right, let's get on with the conversation. Enough about me. Jeremy Toeman, the solution is Augie, so enjoy. Jeremy, welcome to Industrial Talk. I am looking forward to this conversation. We've already chatted over a couple of, just a Zoom, and we talked about your technology, but I am all geeked up on goofballs here on this because I want to have more of that conversation, and I want to be able to share it with the best listeners on the planet. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Scott. Let's jump in. I'm excited to talk about this stuff with you.
Yeah, before we do, because we just can't, we need to give it perspective. Give us a little background on who Jeremy is and why you're such an incredible professional.
That's very kind of you. My Canadian roots won't let me answer the question directly, but I've spent most of my career, most of the past 30 years building technology products that are sort of sitting at the convergence of high tech and digital media. So around 99, 2000, I was at a company called Mediabolic. We were like, if you've heard of Roku, we were like them. So we had built a streaming connected home kind of platform. We actually built the first ever streaming media box as a partnership with HP back in 2002. From there, I went over to Sling Media, where I was brought in as the first employee actually to build the original Sling box, which for younger listeners was the first way you could actually watch TV on the internet. And yeah, pre-Netflix, pre-YouTube.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that company was acquired by Dish. So if you've heard of Sling TV, that was the eventual evolution of the original Slingbox product. From there, I spent a few years as a consultant. Nowadays, we would call me a fractional CPO, but basically helping companies build and launch media products. So I helped work with companies like Voodoo, Boxy, Sonos, Waze, and a few others. That was in the kind of late 2000s. In the mid 2010s, I had my own startup again. It was called Digit. We built an iPad app called Next Guide, which was, at the heyday of iPad apps. But basically, we were a TV guide app that would combine live TV listings and streaming and sort of mash it all up so that whatever you wanted to find, you would just tell us what services you had, and we would find everything for you. And we were acquired in 2014 by another media company. From there, I spent a few years running product for CBS Interactive. I was living in the Bay Area at the time. My kids were getting older. We decided to move to New York, where I am now. And then spent a bit of a time with Etsy, but then ended up spending a few years with Warner Media, the parent company at the time of HBO and CNN and others, leading their innovation team. And left there in October of 2021 to start Augie in January 2022. So that's me in a nutshell there.
That's tight. You explain that real tight. That's good job, man. I can't do that. I can't just string it together in a cogent message. You're amazing. That's incredible. Whereabouts in Canada when you say Canadian roots? Whereabouts?
I'm originally from Montreal, so go Habs. And the reason I could do that, to be really honest, Scott, that was not whipped off at a random, because of so much of my career spent pitching venture capitalists for doing startup work. You often have to give your bio in a really sort of concrete, solid manner. So I got pretty used to saying I have a slightly faster version of that. I have a slightly longer one, but there you have it.
All right, let's venture into Augie. The website is augie.studio, right?
That's right.
And I have to ask the question about why the name Augie. Is there anything there, or was it just, hey, that's a cute name?
A little of both. So we incorporated as AugX Labs. The original idea was this was my wife's idea at the time. This was augmented audio experiences. She's like, that's sort of what you do. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then I kind of played with that in my head and reduced augmented to aug, media to X, because there's sort of this transmedia thing. Yeah. And from experiences, I went to labs. So that was AugX Labs. And a colleague of mine was helping us on just sort of getting all of the original, all of the guts of the company together, those early days. And literally on the Zoom call one day, he's like, why don't we just call it Augie? And that was that. It was never looked back. That was the end of the whole process right at that moment.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. It's cute and meaningful all in one.
Yeah.
No, I like that. All right, take us through what Augie is.
So Augie's designed as a video editor sort of for the rest of us. And the quick backstory is when I was at Warner Media, I was trying to learn how to do video editing, actually. It wasn't my job. I've always been in media, and it was trying to promote my old podcast using video. And I took 40 hours of self-paced Premiere Pro tutorials, and I got absolutely nowhere, Scott. Nowhere at all.
A comment.
Yeah. And I'm like, maybe this is an old dog, new tricks thing. But I actually started thinking about it slightly differently. I started realizing, like, I'm trying to teach myself a tool that is used by absolute professionals, right? Like when I do minor home repair stuff, I get a Makita drill at Home Depot. I don't go to Home Depot Pro and get like a whatever super fancy industrial thing. I get the everyman version, right? And so that was sort of the idea, is like, oh, the reason this is hard isn't because Premiere Pro is not a good product. It's because I'm trying to learn how to do a thing that professionals are doing. So to make the analogy I used to make, it's like me trying to learn how to fly a helicopter when all I really want to do is go to the corner store to get a carton of milk, right?
Yeah.
It's so when, as an entrepreneur, as a guy who likes to build product and tinker with things, instead of saying, well, okay, I'll just kind of lower my set of standards and needs, I decided to build a startup addressing the problem itself. And so that's Augie's meant as the video editor for busy business professionals who need something to promote their business by video, but not the same thing you could do with all of the Master Pro tools, right? I need to install a floating shelf in my living room, not build a house from scratch.
See, I like that because I had that similar situation. Somebody said, yeah, just go to Premiere Pro. That's how you do it, Scott. So I go out there and I right off the bat, took about 10 minutes. My ear was bleeding. I'm not turning and I'm not turning around them fast. I want some sort of speed behind this. We're talking, we want to get it out. We want to be able to do it in an effective way. So I'm looking for speed. Now, this platform has an underpinning of AI, right?
Correct.
So you developed this. Was this your brainchild after AI or before AI or it just converged at the time AI all of a sudden just said, we're here?
A little of both of those, actually. So we started the company in January of 2022. And for context, ChatGPT launched in the fall of 2022. So we were about 11 months before what I would say the AI revolution, whatever this is going to be called one day. Someone will give it a good name. Someone will write a book and they'll make a lot of money and they'll give it a term and we'll all say that forever after.
Yeah.
So we had started the underpinnings of this prior to having all of the kind of LLM version of AI. So we were using a variety of different AI technologies, but not with the same level of sort of convenience that we have now. So we ended up actually having to massively respond. I mean, I guess every tech company's had to respond to this age of AI. For us, we used it as a way of really accelerating our feature growth. So by the time ChatGPT launched, we already had most of the guts of Augie working. Once it launched, though, it let us do new things. We started incorporating things like script writing. Before ChatGPT, you had to come to Augie with your own script. We were able to partner up with 11 Labs to do synthetic voices. Before that, you had to record it yourself.
Right.
So in each case of how Augie works, we sort of disassembled it and rebuilt it in the era of AI once we were past that point. And in fact, even right now, we're adding a chat-like, agent-like, prompt-like experience to Augie because we're seeing that's where the direction of things is going right now. So we're always trying to follow what the industry's doing, but at the same time, have our core product vision of what we're trying to go off and accomplish.
How does it take a video? Because I've used Augie, truth be told, I used Augie. How does it know? It gives you options of saying, this one. Are you refining that, or how does it know to say, hey, here's a great little segment that's 30 seconds or a minute or whatever? How does that happen to feel like I'm confident in knowing that? Because all I care about is when I load it and it gives me recommendations, I want it, right? That's it. That's my thought process. And create it and then publish it. That would be ideal.
So here's what Augie does. So I'll sort of disassemble it.
Yeah.
So you upload, for example, this podcast episode, right? So you're going to upload.
Which I will.
Which you will. So let's call it 40, 45 minutes, whatever the final length is.
Yeah.
You're going to upload that. Augie is going to do two things. The first thing it's going to do is create a transcript with speaker voice detection. We use the same underlying technology as Alexa for this. We're an AWS partner, and we get you your transcript. The second thing we then do is a series of different kinds of analyses, but one of them is, in sort of again, every person's terms, it's what would be 3 segments of this content that would resonate well on social media? That's the basics of what we do. I'll be honest, the actual prompt work under the hood is much, much, much longer and in depth than that. But fundamentally, we're asking AI to analyze the transcript of what's happened for word use, word patterns, trends, and a general knowledge base of what resonates well on social media. We are constantly tweaking that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, this is interesting. How does it know what resonates? Because that's like because of inflation, that's the $1 million question. And
right.
it's like everybody wrestles with, is that going to resonate? Does that capture my attention? Does it, fill in the blank? That's everybody's struggle. How does it do that?
The unfortunate reality is there's actually a lot of data behind what does resonate. A lot of it is words to use, right? A lot of it is soundbite length, right? So you and I going back and forth quickly on a topic likely implies there's something exciting happening. You and I spending a series of prolonged time talking about a highly contextual topic can also, right? So if we were to spend the next 3 minutes just talking all about growing plants with AI or something like that, it's easy to recognize some of those patterns, right? It's easy to tell a chat bot like ChatGPT or others to ignore what might seem like filler content. We also do have some orientation around things like storytelling. We're looking for speaking blocks that might be slightly either highly interruptive or longer form, kind of not speeches, but strong sound bites. And I'll be honest, I think we're all, there are other startups doing similar things. I think we're all still trying to adopt in as much pattern recognition as we can to get better and better at that.
Yeah, that's from my perspective, sort of the holy grail. Because here I am your video muse, because I do the videos, I edit the videos, I do what it is, but I have another product that I use to do that, and I do it because, well, it's simpler. It's an easier product to use.
Sure.
But I want to create those snippets fast. I want high, trust that it will identify. I don't want to go through that. Not to say that I'm not hanging on every syllable that you're bringing forth, but I want to streamline that. And again, the faster I compress that time from the conversation to the social media publication, and I don't have to sit there and sweat, I think that's a heck of a use case.
Thanks. We think so too. And part of the reason we've done it the way we have, so in our experience, what Scott's alluding to is we show you 3 suggested clips from your transcript.
Why
part
3?
Of what?
Why not 5? Why 3?
3 comes out of paradox of choice. So we believe that there's a lot of data that when you give a user more than 3 things to choose from, you actually make the selection process less satisfying, more confusing, and more drawn out.
Well,
so there's
psychology there, baby.
Yeah, it's easier to give you 3 and say pick one and have you pick. If I gave you 5 or 9 or 50, your selection process slows way, way, way down.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
The second thing we've done is we make it so that the clips we suggest for you, you can really quickly remove, tweak, make mild adjustments, because I'll be very honest, our conviction that is in, August of 2025, the human in the loop is still a requirement to make those sound bites really pop. Like, only you are going to be able to listen to your own words and like, oh yeah, when, if it was our clip, when Jeremy said this, it was such an amazing way he phrased it. That's the clip I have to put in my clip reel, right? Yeah. Only Scott knows what's the best clips for his own reel.
Yeah.
Eventually that might change. And eventually I will argue that the AI will outperform a human as far as making those selections, but it still will never outperform your ability to have your own taste about what you want. And that's sort of what we keep as core to our thinking. We are a strong believer that we want a human spending a few moments interacting with that content before just hitting publish from whatever the AI spat out.
Again, I think that I'm on the other end of that spectrum. I want high confidence. I want limited human interaction. I want boom, man, move, go.
Well, the good news is we serve that need too. We're just trying to make sure that what we ended up having is a lot of our users were using other clip making tools, and they came to us with the thing we learned was they love it, but they want the human in the loop. They want those little tweak possibilities. Yeah. And so we designed an experience where, you've used it. It's like editing a Google Doc. It's just that easy. Yeah. And so you can do what you're doing, right? Oh, I like this clip, click, publish, download, off we go. But if you're someone like me who really nerds out on every word, we serve that need as well. And we've tried to basically cover both bases where the person who, Yeah,
that makes complete sense. Is there, in the future, there's the opportunity through an API saying, okay, I got a video here. Here's the link. And instead of me, doing the manual, put it in there, let your system pull it up and do whatever it needs, the magic there. Do you foresee like an API that says, yeah, we're connected to we're connected. It's already
we already have the API. Now it's about doing all of the end-to-end integrations, right? So the trickiest part becomes, where do we want to take that, right? Our approach has been make that API available to other developers so that whether it's a platform like this one, StreamYard, or I use Riverside, being able to take video coming straight out of that platform, shove it through Augie, and then straight to, say, YouTube or LinkedIn or Instagram, that is possible as of today. But it takes, it's almost like it takes a village. We have to go create those partnerships because we can't control all of it ourselves unless other parties also have API endpoints. I don't know if you're familiar with Zapier, but we've been creating our platform so that Zapier will be able to control it in the coming months, actually.
See, that's pretty interesting because that's, again, me being the most impatient person in America. I just want that too. I want that so that it just happens. I don't have to think about it. In fact, there's going to be a point when my part of the brain will just atrophy just because I've automated everything that I could possibly automate, and it just happens.
Yeah, soon you're just going to upload a picture of yourself and some bullet, like, talk about, I don't know, cars and tech and coffee. You got 40 minutes and make it good and be a little snarky. Go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. I'm not sure if that future is bright. I guess I like a little of the human interaction.
I don't like the idea. Like, there's part of me that right now that can almost picture a very imminent future of the internet where, like, 80% of what's happening is bots talking to bots, watching each other do things, commenting, forwarding, sharing, and like us humans are sort of sitting on the sidelines, like, are any of these people? Is anything, who's real?
It's scary. I'll go off on a tangent. It's this voice creation that somebody can create. Some AI can create my voice. It sounds like me. It's that close.
Scott, I don't know if you've tried that. Augie can do that. Augie can clone your voice today, and then you could write intro scripts all using our platform. You don't have to say a word.
Great. Congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's like, these are the things that are happening.
It is absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Now, I have to ask this question about Riverside.
Yeah.
Riverside has a component that way, right? Don't they have a way of creating snippets within Riverside? I don't use Riverside.
They do. That's correct.
How does that compare with Augie? I mean, yeah, maybe it's a touchy subject, but it's like many. There are so many systems out there, and I'm looking at them going, well, how's that different? What's the secret sauce? What's what? And then you get all confused and you don't know what to do and you don't know what decision to make. But anyway, you get the picture.
Yeah, I learned a valuable lesson back in the early 2000s from actually someone who was one of my consulting clients. We were talking about sort of the various spectrums from like all-in-one to DIY. And so the analogy is a doghouse. I could go to Amazon and one-click a doghouse and it'll show up today. I could go to Amazon and one-click, or I could go to IKEA and buy a doghouse and bring it home and put it together. I could go to Instructables and download a plan and kit for building a doghouse. Go to Home Depot, buy all the parts, cut them down to size, and build it. Or I can sit down with a pen and paper and just start sketching out a doghouse from scratch and then go off and do those things. 4 for 4, completely different methodologies, from entirely DIY to entirely, in a pack, in a box. And 4 different customers all want all of those 4 things. And so I think we look at it a lot like that, is that if Scott, who records on StreamYard and publishes to LinkedIn, needs a clip making tool, he's got to go find one. And maybe StreamYard would do something similar, or maybe they would use the Augie API and do it through Augie, right? Whereas someone might go to Riverside and say, you know what? I don't even want to think about this. Give me your Riverside's, by the way, it's a great product. Magic edits, magic clips, all those kind of things. Yeah. One click me. I just want stuff, right? And someone else is going to record it all in, I don't know, Zoom, and then per our previous discussion, pull it up in Premiere Pro and manually edit everything down and go all the way to all their little bits. I don't see there's any one right or wrong. They're different products for different mindsets. So Augie, in our eyes, is for the content creator or publisher or brand where they want AI to do a lot of the work for them and a lot of the heavy lifting and a lot of the sort of brass tacks, but they themselves want to put themselves on that final touch. They want to give it their own visual flourish. They want to give it their own little edits so that it represents exactly whatever their brand essence might be. So I think it's almost, it's almost not a choice. Like, do I want the automated or do I want the manual? Once you know what you want, you're just going to get the answer that gives you, you're going to use the product that gives you the solution you need.
I like that. That well said. I great word pictures, everything. Excellent. And then I want Augie to pick that up so that he knows. I'm assuming that Augie's a he. He knows that I said excellent.
When I was first envisioning the brand, I actually had it as sort of a scrappy robotic dog kind of thing. That's cool. And then, except if you do like 5 seconds of research on the internet, there's a lot of scrappy looking robotic dogs as icons and mascots. So in my head, it still is that. It's sort of like, it's sort of like your BFF, it's like, we used to make a joke. It's like, we're giving you your own Steven Spielberg in your pocket, but that just sort of doesn't make any sense to anybody.
Well done. So now put your future hat on. Where do you see Augie going? What's the vision happening?
Yeah, well, a lot of it's what we were just talking about, is making the API and so there's a technology now called MCP. For anyone who's really diving into AI work, it's basically the platform or the construct by which agent AI technology can control an app. And this is something we're building right now so that ChatGPT or Zapier or other automation systems can actually use the Augie infrastructure to accomplish video editing. So in an ideal world, Scott, you'd be able to upload your video actually to ChatGPT and say, give me 3 great highlight clips from this. And ChatGPT on its own could use Augie to do that. That's a bit of our current stage vision. And then you could say things like add closed captions or put my logo in there and stuff like that. So that's the imminent next step for Augie, is that.
See, I'm all giddy with the future. I just think that this is so interesting. It's changed my life. I mean, I think that it's been an amazing journey and seeing how it's happened. I remember having a conversation. I was broadcasting from Barcelona, and it was a number of years ago. And we were talking about AI. We were talking about trying to create sort of the guardrails around it. This was way before anything with chat. It's like all of a sudden the light switch popped, and now all of a sudden we're in the world of AI. But it was before, and now we're having these conversations, and the speed and how fast it's happening. I'm all excited about it.
You should be. It's a fun time.
It is. I love it. I love it. What about let's just here it is. It's happening. Listener, whether you like it or not, it's happening. Either you embrace, you understand, you learn, and you leverage whatever, or you don't. But if you don't, trust me, you'll be left behind. What would be the pushback of any of this? I mean, your solution, it just makes sense. I can upload, I could that. I mean, I've just compressed time, and time is something that we can never get back. What's some pushback?
I think the pushback is how far do we take it all? I think there's two areas that I see the most pushback is one, if pushed to the very limit, the argument that this, the concept of agentic AI taking on most white collar jobs is pretty accurate, right? It will be able to be your accountant, your attorney, most things that a doctor might do, not what a surgeon or a nurse, but most of the analysis, most analytical and those kind of roles. AI is going to be really good at that in the next 24 months at the absolute maximum. So I think there's a concern there we do know that, again, not going political or anything like that, but we do know that inherently speaking, Wall Street incentivizes companies to have smaller staff. Whenever there's layoffs, stock prices go up. Stock prices go up means CEOs stay retained and get salary bumps. So we know that there's sort of this inherent incentive to fire all the people. So I think that's certainly scary bucket number one that we haven't quite figured out what to do about yet. And I think scary bucket number two is, well, what if every one of us, to your point earlier, if we all are comfortable saying, hey, AI, publish this for me, right? Then, and AI can clone my voice, and AI can write my script, and AI can generate a visual.
Yeah.
Then what if we just start farming out all of the content creation to AI, which we already are seeing AI slop. And I think this is also risky because, again, there's financial incentives to create more and more and more content, right? You and I are both talking, how do we get more clips live?
Yeah.
Right. So this is an area where, I am both concerned and also crazy optimistic at the same time, is that the way I look at what AI does is it sort of up levels everybody to even keel, right? So I could use Augie to make a clip from my podcast, put it on LinkedIn, and I'm going to look great. I can't use Augie, on the other hand, to make a Super Bowl ad, right? And so there's clearly somewhere between those defining lines. And I've used the term good enough video a lot. And I don't mean as a pejorative, but more of if the video does its job, right? If a 45-second clip of you and I talking, Scott, gets you 10 more listeners, whatever that clip was did its job, right?
Yeah.
So I look at it like, if we can help people, humans, make the content they're trying to create using AI to level that playing field, I think that's awesome. If, on the other hand, we're using it to just automate a whole bunch of just garbage feeds that are using algorithms to figure out what the other algorithm wants to see, hear, or do, I think that's just going to be, for lack of a better word, boring. I'm not even worried about it being slop. I'm just worried, I just don't want to see everything algorithmically designed to just, it becomes Wall-E. We're all just sort of sitting around with our brains turned off. And that's the scenario I don't want.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. That well said. Well said. I agree. I read. I do the old-fashioned thing, and I read. And the reason I read is just because, I don't want to just be inundated with information, and because that's what social media does. That's what TV does. It just makes you lazier. Me, maybe not others. I'm not speaking to others. That's just me. I like it. I like what you're saying. We got to wrap it up. How does anybody get a hold of you? What's the best way to say, gosh darn it, Jeremy, I want to know more about Augie. I want to know more about you. I want to connect with you.
For Augie, head straight over to what you said before, www.augie.studio. You can start using it for free. In fact, we have most of our features are freely available. Everything Scott and I were talking about, the highlighter feature, you can use off our homepage. You don't even need an account to get started. You can just try it out. To reach me, good news is I have a unique name. Find me on LinkedIn. So J Toeman on LinkedIn is me. And I try to reply to every single random message I ever get, unless it's really obvious you're just trying to spam me with some crap I don't need.
Which I'm sure it happens. I understand. You
occasionally
still have that human component saying, I'm not going down that road. Yeah. You were absolutely wonderful. You didn't disappoint. You were fantastic. I'm a better
Thanks, Scott.
Jeremy.
Oh, that is very kind of you to say.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good way of explaining it. You did a great job, man. I love it.
Thanks. You asked great questions, and I hope we get to chat even more in the future. I'd love to keep this going.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, listeners, we're going to have all the contact information for Jeremy as well as Augie.studio. And he has a podcast. We didn't touch upon the podcast. Give a plug for the podcast.
Sure. It's called Founder at 50. And I'm cheating. I'm actually 52 now, but I decided to start getting people's stories out there in a relatable way. I've been listening to great podcasts like How I Made This or Made the Scale and some of those. And so many of them are telling journeys of such unbelievable people. But I've been realizing they're out of reach for most of us. I can't copy everything Jeff Bezos ever did. I mean, it's not even in scope. So I'm talking to people like myself who have had interesting careers, built stuff, done stuff, accomplished things, have had some great journeys, have had some sad parts, some exciting parts, some distressing parts, and trying to get those stories out in a way that other people can listen to and really relate from, learn from, maybe enjoy, but maybe also put to practical use. And it's called Founder at 50.
Founder at 50. So we've got a number of things that you need to make sure that you connect with Jeremy. We've got the podcast that you need to subscribe to. You need to go out to Augie.studio and you need to start, kicking the tires and playing around there. That's all available. And then you need to go out to LinkedIn and reach out to Jeremy Toeman right out there. And we're going to have it all at Industrial Talk. So, hey, thank you very much, Jeremy.
Thanks, Scott. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure's all mine. All right, listeners, we're going to wrap it up on the other side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Yep. Another one. Another great industrial talk conversation. I heard a quote today, and it was interesting. Everybody is interesting. Everybody is interesting if you ask the right questions. Again, everybody is interesting if you ask the right questions. He made it easy. Jeremy, right there. I'm looking at his LinkedIn stat card. Very, very engaging, very interesting about how we can use today's technology. I'm telling you, tip of the iceberg, tip of the iceberg. There's a lot going on. So you got Augie, you got Jeremy that's passionate about, delivering a solution that really meets your needs. It's fantastic. I love industry. Industrial Talk is here for you. We want to amplify your message. We do. Go out to Industrial Talk. Talk to me. Say, Scott, I want to talk. I'm there. All right. Be bold. Be brave. Dare greatly. Hang out with Jeremy. Change the world. We're going to have another great conversation shortly, so stay tuned.